artwork that is available for only $25 a piece. We look forward to seeing you at these events and celebrating the talents of our students and the hard work that their teachers put into this. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. What time was the Alwyn House?
The Alwyn House is April 5th from 4 to 7.
Okay, thank you. Yay, first Friday. Okay, we have our board members' reports. Any board members have reports to share?
Thank you, President Bueno. I have just a quick one. March, among other things, is an awareness month for lots of things, but more specifically, close to my heart, developmental disabilities. And more specifically, today, March 26th, is Purple Day. It's Epilepsy Awareness Day. And it's a day to increase the public's knowledge of this neurological condition that affects nearly 50 million people. One of those is my son, Christian. And that's why I thought it was important to bring this up. So that's all the board reports I've got.
Thank you. Mr. Carrillo? No, I do not have any either. Moving on to item C1, student outcome focused governance. Okay. So we have adopted our student outcomes focused governance framework back in 2022. And so this evening we are going to monitor goal number 4. But before that, we typically ground our work into the information of what the framework entails. We believe that student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. And our governance model is composed of 6 competencies that include vision and goals, values and guardrails, monitoring and accountability, communication and collaboration, unity and trust, and continuous improvements. The framework helps us work on the behaviors that are in alignment with each one of those competencies. While we are progress monitoring our goals, here's our goals that are focused around our first 2 around early childhood literacy and mathematics, where we are tracking doubling our data in 5 years. Our third goal is around English learners, moving them up proficiency levels. And then the last 2 goals are around our middle school literacy and mathematics. Next, we have our superintendent guardrails. While our goals are around our student achievement, our superintendent also has other areas to focus on, and the guardrails help her navigate where to focus her time. So we have also our board guardrails that also keep the board in alignment with what the superintendent is achieving. And I believe that's it. Thank you. Going to move on to progress monitoring goal number 4.
Thank you, Madam President. For our goal 4 is a goal for middle years reading. And so tonight we're going to talk about the interim goals that we have that are helping us to predict whether or not we will make that target that we have. And so we have a slide deck presentation, and I'm going to ask Dr. Lloyd, Dr. Galetti, and Principal Walker from Magnet Elementary to be present. And we also have some other members of the Magnet team as reinforcement. But part of the reason that we ask schools to present on our different goals is because they're doing exemplary work on their campus, so that as we talk about areas that we need to pivot or that we need to continue working on something, these are schools that are already showing what is working and are working to help us make sure that we can continue that kind of progress at all of our campuses. So our goal for interim goals, you can see they're posted here. Interim goal 4.0 is to increase 5th grade students performing on track from 23% in the spring of 2023 to more than 28% by 2024. Interim goal 4.1 is to increase 6th grade student performing on track from 23% to more than 28% by spring of 2024. And then in 7th grade, interim goal 4.2 is to move students who are performing on track from 26% in spring of 2023 to more than 31% by spring of 2024. And so if we look at the next slide, you can see how those goals are working to help us reach our long-term goal, which was the governing board goal that we will increase the percentage of 8th grade students with a pass rate on reading from the AASA, the Arizona Assessment for Standards Achievement, that they will increase from 29% on August of 2023 to 44% by August of 2028. Currently, our data projections are indicating that we're going to be close to the yearly target of 32% by June of 2024. And you can also see when you look at the demographic and programmatic subgroups, you can see that we're close to hitting our target in almost every one of the subgroups, with the exception of our EL students. And so that continues to be an area of focus, and we're going to be speaking to that this evening. So I'm going to turn it over at this point to Dr. Lloyd, who will talk a little bit more about the data and what it means to be on track, and then we'll progress into each of the interim goals as we go further.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Oh, is that working? Test. I'll speak up. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, and members of the board, President Bueno. Thank you for having me here today. Oh, I hear it picking up better. So just as a reminder, we have our goal, which is based on the state data, which is AASA, that we will get. We're actually starting that next week, and we will have that data ready for you in June. And what we are presenting today is the data from our winter diagnostic from reading and how we did in terms of movement and improvement from the fall, which we took in about August, September to January, which is when we did the winter diagnostic. And as Dr. Gonzalez said, with our current projections that we have for 8th graders this year, we are projected to be close to this goal based on typical growth. And potentially with a little more than typical growth, we can hit that goal this year. Usually from winter to spring, and now shifting to the interim goals, from winter to spring, we only usually increase around 3 to 4% from winter to spring. So you'll see, looking at this first interim goal 4.0, we're at 21%. So we're more likely to be at 24 to 25% by the spring in this case, which would put us under that interim goal mark that we are shooting for this year. And you'll notice that that is why for our interim goals, we're not on track at this point in the year with our interim goals, because we need more than that 3 to 4%, which we typically see, than we are going to most likely have when we get to the spring for iReady. That's what I have. Might go on.
So one of the things that you'll see when we look at our pivot points, we need to have some more time on that strategic focus of interventions that are supporting learning gaps, but learning gaps that we are treating after we've delivered Tier 1 instruction. And so as we continue through these reports, you're going to see some of the trends that are occurring across all of the grade levels. And we'll also be able to hear from Mr. Walker about some of the programming that we're going to do that is already occurring at Magnet, but that we're going to really focus on replicating at other sites. So if we look at the next slide, you can see again a similar kind of pattern in terms of our achievement. And as Dr. Lloyd pointed out earlier, to get from 22% to 28%, we need to make more than typical growth. And so currently we are not on track to be able to meet that goal. And then as we look at slide number 4.2, again, the same kind of a pattern. We need to make more than typical growth to be able to exceed the current levels. And so I'll ask Dr. Galetti and Dr. Ailshire to share some of their findings and their thoughts on academically what needs to shift in terms of pivots.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. President Bueno, board, community members, cabinet, thank you all so much. It's just my opportunity just to really emphasize the importance of this data as we're looking forward to a couple of highlights that Dr. Gonzalez already pointed out, which is one key indicator of the subgroups that we really want to pay strategic attention to is our emergent bilingual group. If you can see across the board in all of those categories, that's an area that we can definitely focus in on. We know that the SIOP strategies that Mary Lou Gonzalez and her team are working so diligently to train our staff on are incredibly powerful strategies, not just for our emergent bilinguals, but they're also just incredibly valuable tier 1 instructional tools that really benefit all students that are learning the English language, and that's all of us at all given times. Another really important input that we wanted to highlight and take an opportunity to discuss is the recently adopted governing board and recently adopted ELA curriculum that the governing board adopted not too long ago. Not yet. We'll be adopting. Sorry, we'll be adopting. I'm getting my meetings mixed up. And to talk a little bit about that, I wanted to bring Dr. Galletti up here, who and her team and the committee work that they did so strategically to really look at that powerful curriculum and the ways that can support our tier 1 as well as tier 2 and 3 instruction across the board.
Thank you. So, the proposed ELA materials that are up for adoption tonight are they provide a lot of support both for tier 1, but also for tier 2 and 3. The committee that came together originally, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, really took a lot of time to really look not only at our data specifically, but they made sure that there was alignment to standards, there was alignment to the rigor of the standards for the grade levels, and that nothing was missed. But they really did take a lot of time with Dr. Lloyd's help as well to really make sure that what we needed was really present in the new curricular materials that are being proposed. So writing being one of those that really stands out, making sure that we have some robust writing support for our teachers and for our students. The other focus that we were really looking at is tier 2 resources that could be pulled out of that tier 1. So specifically, what could be used for small group instruction? So we talk about small group instruction, what materials are provided. So do we have leveled readers? Do we have vocabulary cards or things that can really help to support the instruction that's happening with the whole group in the class at the different levels that students need it? So there's a lot of assessment and a lot of, and the assessment actually in the system also helps teachers to provide that small group instruction by grouping students together by skills, by standards, et cetera, to really target some of what they're doing in those small group time. To further this, we've really focused on a capacity building model as we're thinking about the rollout of these materials. And what that means is really getting teachers involved in the process so that it's not just someone from a district level writing the curriculum documents and giving it to them, but having them really involved in that. So we already have scheduled a committee. We have about 30 or so from across all of our schools who have applied, volunteered to be part of this, to be part of the process, to really deeply look at the materials, deeply look again at the standards and map that out for how to best meet the needs of our students. So that work is scheduled to begin in April, actually. So we're really excited to get that process started and get folks involved in that. In addition, the materials, they also offer both the informational and the literature that we would want to see that aligns with our standards. So that 50-50 split. So it's not just all informational or all literature. It really addresses the standards in that 50-50 way that there's an expectation for. All of the different writing genres are represented as well within there. There's the reading, the writing, the speaking, listening, and the language all covered within that. And there are EL supports embedded both within the teacher materials, within the actual book. When they look, there's embedded strategies and supports right there, but there's also some supplementary items that can be used to help support that targeted instructional time and small group time within the classroom. So So we're excited about the potential of not only the materials themselves, but also the investment and the involvement of our of our teachers in the process to really make sure that we're addressing the needs of our students in the best way we can.
And so as we look at the next slide, and I want to point out, Mr. Covarrubias was on the committee that helped to adopt the curriculum. And so if the Magnet team wants to join Principal Walker, I wanted them to be able to talk about what they're doing that is really working for their students and the processes that they're using to make sure that our students are progressing beyond typical growth.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Thank you, governing board, cabinet, community members. First and foremost, I want to, if you don't know who I am, I want to introduce myself as the proud principal of Magnet Traditional School. And I always believe that teamwork makes the dream work. And also it's a little less nerve-wracking when I have my team up here with me. So please bear with me. One of the things that I've been very proud of over the last 17 years being the principal at Magnet is the fact that we've really wanted to make certain that we send the message across to everyone who works at Magnet that at their core, they're a reading teacher. So whether you teach mathematics at the junior high or science or social studies, you are responsible for helping support reading, because we understand that if we're looking at developmental reading versus content reading, if we know that if we're knowledgeable about how students learn to read and some of the things that we can do in order to support their reading in other context areas or content areas, that it'll just make them stronger.
So yes, the focus has always been reading. I've been at Magnet for 17 years, and when Mr. Walker came into my classroom as a sub, he said, you know, we need reading teachers, and here I am 17 years later. So I was a 7th, 8th grade middle school reading and the writing teacher, and that's when the emphasis was made that we were all reading teachers, and we keep that just. Everything about us is reading, because in life, you can't be successful unless you are a high level reader. So we track it with data, and that's what we are. We're a data school.
So, and when we're talking about data with the ELA in particular, we make sure that we provide the students with a pre and post assessment. We also make sure that with the planning that we use what's called a task analysis template. And so what it's going to do is it kind of tells us, like on a daily basis, what vocabulary needs to be addressed, what reading structures need to be assessed, the importance of context clues being embedded in our instruction, and then we're tracking it. But not only are we tracking how our classes are performing overall, we're also having the students track it as well. And I know that a couple of you have attended our data meetings that we have with the families. So not only are we saying, okay, students, you're responsible for this, but we're also, and they're also goal setting, but we also have the parents looking at their data after each of these benchmarks, and they're also establishing goals for their students as well. And they also identified 2 to 3 commitments that they're going to do from one benchmark to another that they're going to help support us through at home as well.
So Magnet has always had a strong PTO, but as we've evolved, the PTO becomes every other night, every other month, we have these data nights where they go to the classrooms, and the teachers go over the data, where their students are at, and show them exactly where they're at. And the students make the goals and share it with their parents. The teachers also go over strategies with parents what they can do at home. So it becomes a whole community thing. Everybody, all hands on deck, and everybody knows what everybody's doing. And they're very successful. And when we started doing this, we did see a big jump in our data with the state testing. So, you know, and like I said, it just comes to evolution of our PTO meetings. So that's been really a great thing for us.
Are there any questions for us, or?
No, just thank you for all that information, and congratulations on continuing to focus on reading. And we're seeing your strategy been very successful. Your data is in the green. So thank you.
And I also want to thank, I have to say that I can't take credit for any of this. I mean, I really am very fortunate to have an amazing staff that really recognizes that what they do is extremely important. And how it can be detrimental if they don't do it to the best of their ability. So I'm very proud to be amongst educational leaders and practitioners who really take this job and this work serious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also very pleased to share that Dr. Lloyd has developed a student goal setting sheet for the students across our district to be able to set a goal, look at where they were a year ago in their performance, and to set a personal goal for where they want to go. And he gave that out to teachers prior to our parent conferences and asked that the teachers share that with their students and with the teachers. Or the teachers and the students share that with the families at the family conferences. So thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I don't know if we want to jump to the last, or actually it's slide or report page 5 on there. So I just wanted to bring up, so you see somewhat of slow change, and this is typical of what's happening right now and what's happening statewide and nationwide after COVID, right? It's more of a slow rebuild. And part of that is because during COVID, we had a hard time teaching, especially reading foundational skills, right? So a lot of our students in 5th grade, for example, who are in 1st grade when COVID first started, right? And then they missed a lot of 2nd grade where they were online and missed that interaction, which is critical to a lot of our reading instruction. So we are working to still build some of those foundational skills with students in our upper grades that we would hopefully have before now. So that's a critical piece that we're aware of and working on, is trying to make sure the reading foundations in the earlier grades are as strong as possible in terms of our instruction, but then also having interventions and systems of support in place for our upper grades now, who more than ever need support just with getting to learn to read still at this point in time. So it's something we're focusing on. I do want to celebrate some of our improvements, as you can see there with some of our schools improving, and you see more in the 6th and 7th grade that are yellow and green on track or getting there. And in 6th grade, and one of the things that you can't see super easily here, but I'll point out, is when you look at the 2022-23 column and compare it to the 2023-24 column from the next year, then we start seeing too that we are having some improvements for cohorts, meaning the same group of kids over time. And specifically 6th and 7th grade cohorts, 8 out of the 13 schools had improvements, right? So we are making improvements even with the cohorts. It is a slow rebuild, but we are getting there and very focused on what we can do to ensure foundational reading and reading skills across K-8 at this point, with some of the challenges that we've had. And I'm very grateful for what Magnet brought up in terms of the goal setting. It's something that's huge from my perspective. Students knowing the purpose of what they're doing when they take an assessment, them knowing how they did with their assessment and what they need to do, and connecting the dots, just like we do here in terms of inputs and outputs and how that relates to outcomes. We have to do that with our students and families to help make some changes and help them with their trajectory as well. So thank you, Magnet, and I appreciate the opportunity to help with that district-wide.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. And with that, that concludes our progress monitoring report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. Moving on to approval. Motion that we approve this progress monitoring report of goal number 4.
This is Carmen Trujillo, I'll second.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to community communications. I don't have any in person. Do we have any online?
We do. We have 2
Okay.
electronic communications. The first one is from Ms. Martha Ochoa, and it reads the following. Dear board members, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to express a concern regarding compensation that has been on my mind for some time now. As someone who has dedicated over 25 years to serving as a teacher's assistant at our esteemed institution, I am increasingly becoming aware of a discrepancy in compensation between established staff members such as myself and newer hires. It is evident that our collective efforts to have contributed significantly to fostering, excuse me, the positive reputation that our school enjoys today. Through our hard work and commitment, we have cultivated an environment conducive to learning, attracting families from various backgrounds, including those of affluence, to entrust their children's education to us. I firmly believe that the reputation of our school hinges greatly on the expertise and dedication of its experienced faculty. Losing valued members of our team would not only compromise the quality of education we provide, but also undermine the trust and confidence of the community we serve. In light of this, I respectfully request a review of our compensation structure to ensure that it reflects the contributions and experience of all the staff members, including those who have been integral to the school's success over the years. I am open to discussing potential compromises, but it is essential that we address this matter promptly to uphold morale and retain top talent in the face of economic pressures such as inflation. I am committed to the continued success of our institution, and I'm hopeful that we can find a mutually beneficial solution to this issue. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I look forward to discussing it further with you. Warm regards, Martha Ochoa, Instructional Assistant. The next one is from Ms. April Pettit, and it reads the following. Good evening, Dr. Gonzalez, President Bueno, members of the board. My name is April Pettit, and I am the lead teacher of the general music and choir teachers. Tomorrow we will have our first choral festival since 2019. We have nearly 400 students in grades 3rd through 8th grade participating. This could not have happened without the following people: Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Giletti for giving us the approval and support, Mr. Manley for finding the money, Faith Hope Facio for going to extraordinary lengths. Thank you, Faith, for making sure everything is going to be amazing and for making sure 400 students are fed both lunch and dinner. Miranda Martin and the fabulous nutrition team for making and delivering 400 peanut-free lunches to Herrera. Armando Cuellar for making sure we can all get there safely. Mr. Olmstead and his amazing team for making sure Herrera is ready to go. I want to thank the musical directors participating in this event. It is an incredible amount of work to ensure students are prepared and excited. Spending 8 hours working on music is amazing, but it is exhausting. The last choral festival, I had over 50,000 steps. We chose the theme of Kids at Hope for this year's event. All our songs are about hope, friendship, resilience, and how to make the world a better place. I hope everyone will come to Herrera tomorrow for the culmination of months of work for both the students and teachers. You will find us in the Herrera PAC for a 6 p.m. concert. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. I am anticipating a full house. Thank you so much, April Pettit, General Music Choir.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of our consent agenda. I motion that we approve our consent agenda for today's meeting.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I'll second.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to information and discussion, where we will hear a presentation about our electric buses. Okay. No more pollution in this air.
Good evening.
Hello.
You're amazing, to use our greeting that the bus drivers use. I'm Armando Cuellar. I'm the transportation supervisor for Phoenix Elementary. And we're going to talk a little bit about our transportation department and the wonderful things that we're doing down there in regards to our electric buses. This is a celebration that we've been able to take advantage of. So President Bueno, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, and members of the cabinet, and most importantly, our viewers and members of the community, we thank you for everything that we've been able to do in transportation. I've been in transportation 45 years. I've seen the evolution that we've been through over the years from gasoline to diesel, diesel to compressed natural gas or CNG, CNG to propane, back to gasoline again. And now we're seeing the emergence of electric. We have 3 electric vehicles that have been running. 2 of them we got about May, and we were able to start utilizing them. The first day was during our back to school rally that we had with the staff at Celebrity Theater. So a lot of our teachers got to ride on the electric buses for the first time, and then we started using them the next day for the students. As you saw earlier, we did get another bus a couple of weeks ago, and we had all the fanfare and everything, had a big news conference. It's a purpose-built bus by Green Power Electric, and the nickname is called the Beast. So it has been on the road every day at Edison and Garfield. The driver today took it to the zoo. It's the first field trip we've done in an electric vehicle. We were trying to test it and see if we had the range, and worked perfectly. While she was there, she had all these other school bus drivers from other districts coming up to her. Can we look at your bus? This is great. Awesome. I wish our district would buy one. Nothing but positive comments about the bus and everything from other peers that, you know, could possibly be driving those. We are the first district in Arizona to have a Green Power Beast. We were the 3rd or 4th district to have the Bluebird transit style buses that we got in May. So some of the benefits of our electric school bus, you know, definitely is the air quality. We're perfect for the electric bus here in downtown because our routes are short with the congestion and the other traffic and the pollution that we're getting from the other cars. Electric vehicles work awesome down here. We haven't had any problems yet. We're able to charge them at our facility and have them ready for the next day without problems. The cost savings, of course, we don't have to pay extra for any fuel. The electricity used to run the buses is pretty minimal, and it's always there. We don't have to worry about fuel purchases, oil, all the other things that the diesel and gasoline vehicles have to worry about. This is an example of just some of the things that, you know, the health issues that we could help eliminate by using electric vehicles. A diesel bus versus an EV bus. Of course, the kids aren't having to be exposed to the diesel fumes or the gasoline exhaust, that sort of thing. I know that when we were all younger, we probably were sitting there breathing deep thinking, oh my God, this diesel is awesome. But now look at us, you know. But there's no noise on an electric bus. It's very quiet. And if you ever come around our buses when they're idling or driving slow, federal law requires that they have some type of noisemaker on them. The 2 Bluebirds sound like, in the words of our mechanic, Eric, sounds like the Jetsons. You know? So we call them the Jetson buses. The Green Power sounds like a trolley car. Ding, 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 ding. And then when you have the turn signal on, caution, the bus is turning right. Caution, the bus is turning left. So they're required to make a noise because they're so quiet. And same thing with any of your other EV vehicles, you know, your Teslas, all that have to make some sort of audible sound. So we're getting used to it. As I said before, our current fleet, we have 2 Bluebird transit buses. All of our buses are identified with the bus number starting with EV for electric vehicle. And 562 and 563 are the electric Bluebird buses. We've had those in service, like I said, since school started. And recently we had both of them running, and the 562 was our Herrera shuttle bus, taking kids from Herrera to Lowell when we were rebuilding Herrera schools. So it ran every day, transporting those kids back and forth when we had the combination schools going on. The Green Power Transit bus, as I said, we received 2 weeks ago. And it's been, again, running perfectly. We haven't had any issues with any of these buses. The Green Power has a little bit more range than the other two. So we've been running it a little bit more, trying to see how far we can go and what the electric, how the electric power is going to go on it and what kind of performance we're getting. So all three buses have been running excellently and no problems at all. And as I said, the drivers love them. They're quiet. The kids seem to be accepting them, and they're, for the most part, amazed that they're riding on an electric school bus, and they love it. The Edison and Garfield kids were part of the news conference we had when we introduced the Green Power bus. So a lot of them were there that day, and there's a point of pride in being able to ride on the first electric school bus from Green Power in the district, as well as on the two Bluebirds. So we're hoping that, this will continue on, and we thank our voters for passing the bond that was giving us the opportunity to do this. We recently were awarded an EPA grant by the federal government, and $2.37 million was awarded to our district in order to have future purchases of electric vehicles. And we are able to buy a total of 6 buses. And we're in the process right now of getting what type of bus, all the specifics ready so we can get that done by the end of April and put our name in the hat there and get them built. Each bus per the grant is going to bring us $395,000. And we're going to pay the difference because the electric school buses are about $500,000 each. So what the grant is paying is the difference between the cost of a diesel and the rest of the cost of the school bus. So approximately $395,000 is what we're getting per bus from the federal government. In preparation of the arrival of the electric buses, we've entered into an agreement with a company to do a site assessment of our facility to see what our power needs are. And we currently have 2 level 2 chargers right now that we're using on the Bluebirds. We're trying to get a quick assessment from our contractor to see if we can add a 3rd one so that we'll have 3 of them and not have to rotate the 3 buses over the 2 chargers. And that way we'll always have them available. When we do the new chargers, we're looking at doing an alternate location there on our site. Right now, they're all located next to the garage at our facility. Similar to this picture, we have the covered area, and we're trying to see if we can put them under there and have them parked in their spaces instead of crowding up in the front by the garage doors. We do need to look at a upgrade of our infrastructure because of the age of our facility. The way one guy at APS put it is, you're running off of 1960 technology. And so we're ready to look at that and see what type of upgrades to the facility we'll need to do, if it includes the transformers and upgrading those to more, so we can get more power put in there. But here in the next few weeks, we'll be going over that and figuring out what we need and go from there. The site studies should be concluding sometime in the spring before the end of the school year. As it says here, the engineering study to assess the plant services current EV needs. Eventually, we may do more than just electric buses. We've been looking at cars and trucks and whatever the various vehicle manufacturers can get for us. The problem is because of COVID, they're still coming out of supply, shortages and things like that. But, we've been we've been insured that these companies can get us vehicles pretty quick once we decide if we want to purchase more vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, that sort of thing. So.
What about maintenance equipment like leaf blowers or the Bobcat? Do those come electric?
We do. We have forklifts and, our leaf blowers are all battery operated. We have some forklifts that are electric already. So, I don't know about we do have a Bobcat tractor, but I don't know if that is, diesel operated, which I think it is. And we do have that opportunity to probably upgrade that once we go out to purchase a new one or something. But we're looking at all aspects of transportation and vehicles. In closing, again, Phoenix Elementary was awarded $2.37 million to buy 6 EV school buses. Plant Services is going to get a little facelift and upgrade our infrastructure so that we can support more vehicles on electric power. And, hopefully we're looking at taking delivery towards the spring of 2025. Right now, the school bus companies are focusing on electric vehicles as more and more districts are buying electric. And so we're hopeful that we get the order in that will be up towards the top of the line and get them ready and delivered and have them ready for our students. Thank you. Any questions?
Which bus is your favorite?
What's that?
Which one is your favorite, the Bluebird or
They're
the
all my
Beast?
favorite. I don't want to say on national TV. No, they're all good. It took me a while to come around, and I'm finally agreeing that it's a good choice. And I'm seeing more and more being delivered. And since we were fortunate enough to be awarded this grant, it's really going to help us out. So, the transportation department, there's 40 of us there. We appreciate everything that the district and the community has done for us. And we look forward to serving our students. We are a love-filled, student-centered community, and we're happy to be here. And you can talk to any driver or bus attendant, and they will share the same thing that I just told you. We are no nonsense, and they know that every day when they come in, the love is there for them and for the job that they do. So, thank you.
I have a question, just a
Yes.
comment. In my own professional experience, I dabble around in education, tech, and my passion is environmental sustainability and resilience. So this is a huge passion of mine, and it's near and dear to my heart. When I was a kid, my mother was exposed to high particulate matter, and she was not a smoker, but secondhand smoke got lung cancer, and it was fatal. And so that tore apart our family. And so, as you may or may not know, Phoenix was named and continues to carry the title of the fifth most polluted city in the nation. That's according to the American Lung Association, the State of Air report released just last year. We know that high pollution impacts the worst, impacts the most overburdened communities, Black and brown communities, of which many of our schools are in. Those are unsheltered communities as well, those who lack housing, any housing at all, stable housing, those who are renting, right? If you own your house, you're more able to solidify it against that high particulate matter. That's especially true for undocumented communities, which are also vulnerable to high particulate matter, poor air pollution, and mostly, which is our interest, right, is our Black and brown youth. And so we know that exposure to high particulate matter contributes to higher rates of morbidity and premature mortality, which leads to an overall lower life expectancy. And in my case, that was true for my mother. This can cause increased rates of high heart attack, stroke, lung cancer, respiratory infections, which again are linked to high cases of particulate matter in our air. And we know that we're next to highways. We know we're next to a lot of stuff that increases that. Our own bus fleet is in the industrial warehouse zone, which has a history of high particulate matter. All this to say that dozens of cities are committed to emissions reductions. For instance, the city of Phoenix is on track to meet a 2030 goal of 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, returning to 2008 levels. I'm glad that at the hyper-local level, so at our local school district level, we are doing our part in addressing high rates of air pollution and particulate matter that are most vulnerable, which is our youth breathe in and day out. I live in 85004, which is the area with high particulate matter. And so, so thank you. They say if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so just thank you to the EPA. Thank you to the federal funding that we've been able to access to receive this transition our bus fleet, the city of Phoenix. And then again, most of all, my highest priority, thank you to our staff, all of our staff that worked on this. As we all have advocated for this, we know that, again, the impacts are repeating cases like mine, having to grow up without a mother, right? So working in tandem, we can ensure that less Black and brown youth, again, have stories like mine and can go out and play sports and don't have to worry about having an inhaler, can go out and dance and not have to worry about having high particulate matter impact their lungs, right? So I'm excited and this hits close to home, and I'm so happy about this and that we're doing our part to address a bigger challenge. So again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I just wanted to add that when I came back to the district in 2015, one of the goals, and thanks to the community, was to try and replace the bus fleet. A lot of the buses, when I came back in 2015, I had bought back in the 90s when I was here before. And so we were running buses that were 25, 30 years old, you know, belching diesel pollution and everything out there. So we have been recognized as having one of the newest fleets in Arizona because our buses are, you know, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you know, in that year range. And the diesels are all low emitting, low sulfur fuel. So that helps a little bit. And now that we're on the path to getting electric buses, that's going to help a lot more. So, you know, we're looking out for the community. And like I said, Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, where we're at, is perfect for electric vehicles. And so hopefully we'll get to see more, and we'll be out there running around with our little Waymo cars and doing our deed. Of course, we'll have drivers. But I thank you guys and have a great evening. And I appreciate being here to talk a little bit about our accomplishments in transportation. As I always say, great things happen at transportation. So thanks.
Thank you so much
Okay.
to your award-winning transportation department.
Yes, thank you.
Next item on our agenda is executive session. We have one item pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A1. The governing board may vote to convene an executive session to discuss the superintendent contract, I motion that we adjourn this public meeting to enter into our executive session meeting at 6:31.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I'll second.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Reginald Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are back from executive session at 7:05. We're moving on to our action item where the board may take action to approve the superintendent contract. I motion that the governing board approve the superintendent contract for Dr. Gonzalez as discussed and negotiated in executive session.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I'll second.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
for Mrs. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you. And with that, we have another action item. I motion that the governing board approve an addendum to the ESI contract for the district to continue using the services of Dr. Gonzalez through August 5th, 2024, and that ESI use the terms of the superintendent contract approved this evening as the basis for billing the district at the applicable monthly rate. That will include paragraphs 3.1, 3.3, 4.3, 4.7, and 4.11. Those changes shall be effective beginning April 1st, 2024.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I second the motion.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Ms. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
With that, our motion passes and we have awarded Dr. Gonzalez a multi-year contract to continue to lead this district as the superintendent of Phoenix Elementary #1. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be leading our district and working alongside a governing board that is focused on student outcomes. So thank you very much for your trust in me. And thank you to our team of people who are doing everything they can to get the outcomes we're working toward.
Thank you. With that, closing items, do we have any board member requests? Next, any future agenda items? Hearing none, we're moving to adjournment at motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:08 PM.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I'll second the motion.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, April 9th at 5:15 at our district office. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.